What's going on, everyone? Alex Da Silva, Happy as Larry Group. I hope you are well and welcome to your daily dose of happiness. I hope you're having an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Today I want to talk about something that really made me laugh, but also really hit home for me with things that I used to do and experience in my past. I was listening to the radio. I took Ruby to the childminder this morning, and I was just listening to, love stories on the radio, love stories that have happened during current times. And it really made me laugh because I was listening to this individual, and they were sharing a story. They've been on different dating sites and they had an absolute nightmare. And her sister then turns around and says to her, "Why don't you try this one?" So she did, and she had an absolute nightmare. And what made me laugh is she then said that she got Bridget Jones' Diary drunk, and she woke up the next day and actually started having an message exchange with this guy. It really made me laugh what she said next, because she's describing this conversation, as, wow, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And then she says, "This is too good to be true. This is too good to be true." So why do we do that to ourselves? And I wanted to talk about this because it really made me laugh, because this is something I used to do. It's a self-sabotage mechanism. And we go out into the world, we believe in the law of attraction and karma, and we want to put out abundance out there. We want to find the one, we want to find the best job in the world, we want to succeed, we want to do all of these things. We want to become the best of everything. So we go out, we write things down, we follow the blueprint, we put it out into the world, and the world says, "Ask and you shall receive." And when you do, what do you say? "This is too good to be true. Something's wrong here." And that's what really made me laugh, because we do this. On a serious note, we do this all the time. We go out into the world as a man or a woman. I'm going to talk about relationships in this on a more serious note. I have seen time and time again, working with clients or working with mentees, and even in my own experience, where I dreamed of having what my grandparents had. My grandparents met while they were in their teens. They got married and stayed married, and they had 13 kids, and they lived together, throughout their whole life. They've been through good times, great times, really bad times, and you name it. We grew up in very humble beginnings. But the one thing I loved so much about their relationship was they worked at it. They worked at it. And I've always wanted that. And I had the pleasure of experiencing probably one of the realest love stories I ever experienced. As I said, my grandparents met when they were young. They got married. I believe my grandmother was 17, 18. My grandfather was 18, 19. And they stayed married until the day they died. My grandfather went first, and my grandmother went shortly after. And there was nothing wrong with her. I remember speaking to her on a Saturday, and she died on a Thursday. And I said to her, "I can't wait to see you." I was going to fly over to Brazil, and I couldn't wait to see them because it was such a long time since I had seen them. And when the doctor did the examination, they said there's nothing wrong with her. What they said is that she died of a broken heart. She just died of a broken heart. She had met her soulmate. And this happens so much, in the past, but not so often now. Why is that? is because of that behavior that we have. When we ask for something, we go out and we start looking for this perfect relationship. We ask for this perfect man or this perfect woman. And now we get even more detailed because we have these apps now that tells us, you know, it has to be 6 foot tall, he's got to have a six pack, he's got to like this sport and that sport, he's got to be kind, blah, 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 blah. And like all of these expectations that we have. So then when eventually we get given this individual, then we completely destroy it. And that's exactly the same for a man with a woman as well. And I've seen this happen, you know, I've done it myself. So why do we do that? Why are we doing that to ourselves? Number one thing, ask and you shall receive. So you write something down, you ask for it and you receive it. But are you ready to receive? That's the question. Are you ready to receive? Because if you're saying that when you receive something, when you receive this relationship, this man or this woman, why are you then self-sabotaging? Why are you trying to destroy the one thing you've been asking for your whole life? One reason, insecurity, self-insecurity, something within us. And I'm not gonna, you know, I'll use me as an example. I would ask for these things. And often or not, because I had untreated issues, traumas, you know, whatever it may be, what would happen is these insecurities will come to the surface and it will start to manifest. You're not good enough, you know, she's going to dump you, you're not tall enough, you know, you're not skinny enough, or you're not fat enough, whatever it may be, whatever it would have been at the time. And these insecurities start to chip away. And, you know, the shitty committee gets louder and louder and louder. And eventually, you know, we start to then raise our game, our self-sabotage game. They go out and they come back late, or they do something that doesn't meet your expectations, because insecurity means we have expectations. So if we have low self-esteem, our fear and ego is nice and high. And what that does is, because we don't want the individual to leave, we try to hold on to them as much as we possibly can, not realizing that our actions, because it's fear-based actions, those fear-based actions come from unrealistic places and they materialize into expectations. So you expect this person to behave a certain way, and they have to, you know, to be home at a certain time, and they have to do exactly as you say, yet we never communicate these expectations to each other. We just expect them up here. So when they don't get met, then we create these unnecessary arguments with each other. And this is, again, I'm using me as the example, so these are things that I did. Or we think that we are not good enough for them because, you know, they're too good to be true. So we then start to self-sabotage the relationship. And then the other person's going, what the hell's going on? I really like you exactly as you are. Don't change anything, don't do anything, everything is okay. So this is me on the other side. I've been in these situations where I really liked the individual. I didn't want them to change anything, everything was fine. And, you know, and then it starts. So we attract like for like. So if you're in a place where you're bringing insecurities or bad experiences with you, then what you're going to, unless you deal with them, unless you work through these things, what you're doing is you're building not boundaries, health and safe boundaries for yourself. What you're doing is you're building these barriers, and barriers don't allow your true self to come out. So what you do is you keep building these barriers and these barriers and these barriers, and the real you is only surface level. The true you, who's dying to come out and say, this is who I really am, well, you've locked them up. So you're now living in fear and ego, and your poor self-esteem, which is the true you, because when you're confident and you're flying and you're smiling and, you know, and you're vibrant, you've seen those people walk through, they walk through and they light up the room, and you just see them. And often or not, when we're insecure, we go, oh, look at the show off. Who do they think they are? And when you meet somebody who is confident, often or not, that starts to happen too. And I wanted to share this today because I've been there so many times, and I'm so grateful and so blessed. My beautiful wife she's next door, and you know, we've had to work at our relationship. So the one thing I picked up, so what needs to change? Number one thing that needs to change, you need to change. If you want to attract that person, or if you've attracted them, but you're pushing them away or you're self-sabotaging, you need to change. Don't try to change someone else, because this is the other thing that we often do too. Again, using me as an example, we go into these really crap relationships that we've been through before. We keep chasing bad boys or bad girls or people that cheat on us and they treat us like crap, or we go for people who are just like our mothers or people who are just like our fathers because we've got mummy and daddy issues. Again, been there, done that. So what we do is we then start to attract these kind of people. We get into these relationships and we think, oh my God, I'm going to marry my mum, or oh my God, I'm going to marry, my dad. So what we then do is we then self-sabotage that, or we try to change them. We try to change the individual. I will fix them. I'll sort them out. And that's none of your business. It's not your responsibility to change anybody. It's your responsibility to change you. That's the number one thing that I've learned that has helped me, not only in my love relationship, which thankfully as soon as I made those changes, I met the perfect woman for me, which is my beautiful wife, as I said, who's next door. And from that, just to show you, from that, I came in and I was battered and smashed and bruised when we met. I was an alcoholic, I was an addict, and I was cross-addicting with all sorts of things. I had overdoses, I tried to kill myself, and my wife and I met on a dating app, let it be known, and we fell in love, but I wasn't ready. She was, I wasn't. And I knew she was for me, but I wasn't ready. Was still having to work through my issues, my traumas, my addictions, all of the things that were happening to me. So she put a boundary in place and said, I'm not going to be with you until you sort your life out. And I didn't take that as a rejection. I took it as I need to get my shit together. And that's what I did. And then I married her and we had a child, a beautiful little child. And then we're probably going to have another one very soon. And we have a beautiful business together. So these are the things that can happen when you take responsibility for yourself, because you deserve what you're asking for and you get what you ask for. But remember, you are also going to get what you're vibrating. You're also going to get what you're experiencing. You're also going to get who you are. So you have to deal with yourself. You have to come when you're going out there and you're asking for this stuff, not to say be perfect, because that's far from it. Nobody here is perfect, but we're here to experience. And if you're going to experience love at the highest level. And the highest level of love you can experience is self-love. Because once you get to that point where you love yourself first, nobody needs to change you. You don't need to change anybody, because you love you. And when you meet that person, because you're then going to attract like for like. And when you have unconditional self-love, self-respect, and you learn to be exactly who you are meant to be, then that person comes to surface. When they come and you connect, you don't connect in an enmeshment where you're trying to fix each other and he does this, she does that, and it becomes this toxic, not unconditional, conditional love. I will only love you if you do this. I will only love you if you behave in that way. I will only love you if you buy me this. I will only love you if you take me here. Unconditional love is I accept you unconditionally, every single thing that you are. Have an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And as always, be great, be fantastic, and be absolutely phenomenal today. Ask away. But number one, get yourself in the place where you deserve to be. Because that's where true love comes from, and it's where true love starts. I'll speak to you again very soon. Take care.